Hello there, White Sox fans. Yes, we all know the team had a bad, not just bad, a historically bad year last year. But we also all know that with just one or two good moves, the White Sox could be considered front runners for the World Series this year. And yes, also, I am very clearly making this intro and the title and thumbnail to see how many people will click on it, just leave a comment, and then bugger off before they even watch the video. This is a video not to be taken seriously because no, there is no way in the world that the White Sox will be contenders in any fashion this coming season in 2025. But I did want to just have fun with it. There's a lot of different YouTubers out there who build teams through video games, which is I even get a kick out of watching those and seeing how this alternate reality will play out. I'm not going to use a video game, although I do have a series that I started a long time ago that I want to get back to, which is rewriting history, starting with the 2012 White Sox. I will actually be getting another video of that out fairly soon. Probably, hopefully, a couple of them this winter, just to kind of create some more baseball content at a time where there's no games to watch. That said, what would it actually take for the White Sox to be considered favorites for the playoffs? There's absolutely no world in which the White Sox would ever be considered favorites to make the World Series or to win the World Series. I hate to say it, but really the Yankees and especially the Dodgers probably already have that wrapped up, which is not good for the sport for it to be so obvious even before the first pitch is thrown. Obviously anything can happen, but man, the way things are, shaking out, it's not a lot of fun for fans of anybody outside of LA or New York. But that said, what would it theoretically, hypothetically take for the White Sox to be considered favorites to maybe win the division, maybe get into the wild card at the very least? So let's first take a look at the team as it stands right now. And what you're about to see, this is something that I built up in a previous video. So if you want to take a look at the White Sox roster as it stands and how it's constructed, I take a lot of guesses because we have a couple of holes that you'll see that, well, that's obviously where we will go to start filling those holes in free agency. So first taking a look at the rotation, and yes, it is very, very likely, I would put money on it even, that Garrett Crochet will be traded this offseason. But if we're going for it, he's obviously not going to be traded away. So we have Garrett Crochet starting out. I was penciling in Davis Martin, Jonathan Cannon, Drew Thorpe, and then Nick Nastrini, maybe Kai Bush, maybe Jake Eater starts to get his first look at the big leagues out of the bullpen. And then Jared Schuster, who actually has some bullpen experience. So that's how things stand right now. And honestly, long term, I like a lot of these guys a lot, and they might become really good players, but they're not going to be people that are counted on to lead a playoff-bound team. Looking at the infield, we have Corey Lee at catcher, Andrew Vaughn right now, first base, Brooks Baldwin second, Colson Montgomery at short. Again, he's not made his major league debut yet. We'll see, but he's definitely intended to be the future of that position. Oh, also, as you might notice, I've added how they bat. So Brooks Baldwin is a switch hitter. Colson Montgomery bats from the left side. Brian Ramos or Miguel Vargas. And honestly, when I made this video, I completely forgot about Miguel Vargas, but this will be the battle in spring training that'll be interesting to watch. Hopefully it's fun to watch because they're both doing well. And if they're not doing well, it's not going to be fun to watch, but we'll see. Braden Shoemake is our guy off the bench. He's a lefty. And then we have our backup catcher being Edgar Quiero. I don't know if the White Sox will pick up another veteran. Hopefully Edgar gets a look this year because he's supposed to be the guy that overtakes Corey Lee sooner than later. And then looking at the outfield, we've got Benintendi, Luis, and Dominic Fletcher with Zach DeLoach off the bench. I forgot to look up Tim Elko to see how he bats, lefty or righty. And I threw him in there as a power bat to take over for Gavin Sheets, who was DFA'd. That is a total shot in the dark. So let's start it right here because this is how so much of the offseason is going, because it's got to start with the one and only Mr. Juan Soto. Now, how do I declare that the White Sox would be able to find money in the couch cushions for Juan Soto? They can't. They're not going to. This is not supposed to be realistic. But the one thing that I do want to be somewhat realistic is again, I asked at the very top, what would it actually take for the White Sox to become contenders? And with the help of MLB trade rumors, we have some ideas. So here's where I'm going to pull these numbers from. Every year, MLB trade rumors takes a look at what they consider the top 50 free agents available in the offseason, and then make guesses at what they will end up signing for. And as you see here, Alex Bregman, 7 years, $182 million. And they're usually pretty close. Some are going to land a little above, a little below, but let's just take these numbers at face value. Now, does that mean the White Sox could go in and sign Alex Bregman for 7 years at $182 million total? No. The White Sox will absolutely have to overpay to get guys to come to a team that lost 121 games last year. And the question to me was, okay, what percentage over are they going to have to spend? I was thinking maybe about 20% at least for the first couple of guys. And then other people will actually see that as an interesting destination and they'll go for it. We actually have a case study just signed a couple of days ago. It's Luis Severino. So let's take a look. So yes, they were thinking Luis Severino would sign for 3 years, $51 million. Looking at, they were guessing the Nationals, Giants, Tigers, Mets, teams that are going to be in the mix to some degree. Nationals, we'll see what the Nationals do this year. But he ends up signing with Oakland for $67 million. So instead of 51, it was 67. So we do have a percentage there. And I point this one out specifically because it's Oakland. Oakland is not anticipated to compete this year. And even worse, for an appealing destination, they are playing at a AAA stadium this year in Sacramento. So there's definitely a lot going against them right now. They have to spend money because they are trying to continue to be revenue sharing partners. So they need to get their payroll up. So they're okay. They're happy to overpay guys just to get their payroll level higher. But now we have the answer, 67 instead of 51. So as I'm doing the math on that, that's actually about 31% over. So wow. So as I said, we have to start out with Juan Soto to show the entire rest of the league that yes, the White Sox are coming to play. MLB trade rumors estimated $600 million for Juan Soto, but we know that the bidding has already exceeded $700 million. So let's take that $700 million and say that, like the A's, White Sox are a bad team as things are constructed right now, but at least it's Chicago, not Sacramento. I've been to Sacramento a number of times. There's things to like about it, but it's not an appealing city if you want to spend many years of your youth, because Soto is only 26 for his next 13, 14 years. He's not going to want to be in Sacramento. Eventually it'll become Vegas, but he's got to wait 3 years for Vegas. But Chicago is Chicago. Chicago's an awesome city, and he's going to be playing in a major league stadium. Now, I know a lot of people really look down on the White Sox park. I like it a lot, but no matter what, it's better than a AAA stadium at the very least. So let's go ahead and stick with 700 million times that 31% overage, as Kevin Malone would say. Let's see what this equals. Wow, $917 million. That is a hefty contract. Now, here's a question too. Let's pretend that White Sox suddenly have a multi-billionaire owner, and it doesn't matter. He's got all the money in the world. Is that a level, let's say 14 years instead of 13. Let's divide that by 14 years. That's $65.5 million a year. Would you, as a White Sox fan, make that kind of a commitment, knowing that it might hamper future signings? But for the purpose of this unrealistic rebuild, we are going with Juan Soto at $917 million. So there is our first one. Okay, so just because I don't want to be moving all these little elements around within Photoshop, obviously Juan Soto would not be our fourth outfielder. So Juan Soto would be right field. Dominic Fletcher would be pushed down to the fourth outfielder, maybe battling with Andrew Benintendi. Who knows? If Dominic Fletcher is ready to take that step up, maybe Benintendi gets pushed down. We'll see. Also, big glaring need right here on this screen, DH. We really need a proven, if we're going to be a contender, somebody that we absolutely know is going to be a heavy hitter, another scary part of this lineup. It's not going to be Tim Elko. Maybe eventually Tim Elko would develop into that, but no, for now, we need to find a hitter. And the guy that comes to mind first, because, there could be debate over Andrew Vaughn. Does he deserve his spot? I think someone that can go into the spot right now, I'm saying Pete Alonso. So let's see what MLBTR has in store for that part of the budget. So they've got Pete Alonso set for $125 million using our scary math. 125. That for us would be $162.5 million, 5-year contract. And we're not going to get into the nitty gritty. Obviously, anybody coming to the White Sox, they're going to want an opt out after the second, maybe third year. The White Sox have to make sure that they commit for at least a couple of years. But yeah, we're not going to get into all that. That's going to be taking away the fun. We have to go address pitching. While I've said many times that I think there's a lot of exciting and interesting potential on this team, in this rotation, in the mix, the White Sox are absolutely going to pick up at least one, maybe two veteran arms anyway, just to provide some stability. Guys that might get flipped at the deadline if they're having a good season. I would not mind the White Sox picking up Jordan Montgomery from Arizona. He's got kind of an expensive contract. I think just one more season, maybe a season and a club option. I wouldn't want the Sox to give up anybody for him, but the White Sox could just pick up the tab, which I think he's got about like $20 million per season. I would love to see somebody like that because he could be a good bounce back candidate who then gets traded at the deadline if he does well. But in the meantime, also provides a little bit of a veteran leadership to the team. Like I said, Garrett Crochet is going to get traded, I believe, this offseason. And the White Sox ideally will get some MLB ready pitching, but there's most likely will be unproven pitching that will come back. So let's get some stability. So as we said, we're going for it this year. So Garrett Crochet is in. We have to have, you would assume, at least two other bigger pickups, maybe a big splash. Blake Snell was on my list, but he's already signed, so he's off the board for us now. We'll take a look around. But, I think maybe we will, well, let's just look for two, and then we'll figure out where they all go. The second highest ranked person on this list is obviously we have Juan Soto at number one, but number two is Corbin Burnes, 7 years, $200 million. Corbin Burnes is who I had in mind. So I think, again, if we want to try to get the rest of these guys without having to pay that overage, you go for Corbin Burnes, you pay him that 30% overage on that $200 million, and which will be another $60 million. And then we sign Corbin Burnes for 7 years, $260 million. Okay, I think I finally found it. I've been scrolling, and this time I wanted to start at the bottom and maybe pick somebody lower on the top 50 list, but there was either not a lot of pitchers or the ones that were there, they wouldn't have moved the needle enough for a team that, again, it wants to be playoff bound, until I got all the way up to number 17, which was Nate Eovaldi, 2 years, $44 million. And again, at this point, the White Sox have really shown that they are a destination. So I think we can just start taking these guys at their estimated value. Maybe we'll give them a little bonus, and we'll say 2 years, 50 mil. It's not our money. It's not even money. It's not real. So yes, we will go with Nathan Eovaldi, and then we'll see how our rotation looks. Okay, so here we go. We have Garrett Crochet at the top, Corbin Burnes, number two, Nathan Eovaldi, number three, and then a huge battle for who is going to be our number 4 and 5 guys. And that's between Davis Martin, Jonathan Cannon, Drew Thorpe, Nick Nastrini, Kai Bush, and Jake Eater. And maybe even Noah Schultz as the season goes on, if he's really rocking it in the minor leagues. Is that enough? What do you think? Because honestly, the top 3 are huge. It's a 3-headed monster there. But the number 4 and 5 are up in the air. And that's 40% of the season is having starters who aren't yet proven. Thorpe and Cannon and Martin have all shown promise, but they're not proven yet. Would this make the team playoff favorites as it is like this? Let me know. Or should we get somebody else? Maybe somebody, Jack Flaherty is the next highest person on the list. Obviously, he would be a big positive impact, but somebody very low down, maybe some sort of a bounce back candidate. Walker Buehler is somebody that is enticing. He's a guy that would, there's a lot of promise, but there's a lot of injury risk. Maybe he's a great person to pick up. Maybe he's something the White Sox should actually go for. They'd have to, again, overpay, but he's a guy that maybe could regain some value and then be flipped. Anyway, and then the one thing, I'm not even going to write it down, but our closer situation, we have no closer. At this point, as you see, we are taking guys that are really good prospects and pushing them maybe even off the 40-man. Definitely down into the minors. They're losing roster spots. I wouldn't want to give up pitching, but as you'll see, we haven't even gotten to the infield yet, so there's more to do. But do we trade some of those young guys to bring back and then extend fan favorite Liam Hendriks? He's coming off of injury. The Red Sox, they'll need something back. But that's what I'm saying. I'm saying we bring back Liam Hendriks in this fantasy world. If we're daydreaming and having fun, there's nobody that's more fun than Liam Hendricks. So I'm bringing him back as my closer. Heading back into the infield now. So we've got a pretty amazing outfield. I mean, just the addition of Juan Soto. We have, don't forget, at DH, we have Pete Alonso. So I'm not going to touch Andrew Vaughn at first base. So I think between him and Alonso and our other depth, we should be okay there. I love our catching situation. We have Corey Lee, who is still young and figuring it out, but good. And we have a really big prospect behind him. So I wouldn't want to sign anybody else. The catching market has actually been pretty depleted already. There's been a lot of free agent signings at catcher. But I wouldn't want to block either of these guys with another signing. So I'm leaving catcher alone. I'm leaving first base alone. You know, the biggest shortstop available is with Willie Adames, who just signed with the Giants. You know, plus we have Colson Montgomery. We wouldn't want to block him. Potentially, if we signed a big shortstop, we could push Montgomery to second base. What middle infielder or third baseman? Obviously, Alex Bregman is the biggest name out there. Let's see if we can avoid taking him because he's got the stink of Houston all over him, and I don't want a Houston player. As we're scrolling around, I forgot about Max Fried as an option from the starting pitching perspective as well. Obviously, a big-time game changer if he were to be in the rotation. Sean Manaea, he is somebody I would maybe I would add him if I was really concerned about that 4 or 5 spot. I would also pick up Sean Manaea. Gosh, is Gleyber Torres worth it? Is he going to be a big enough upgrade? What did he do last year? 257 average. I always like to see on base plus slugging. Plus is 101. So barely league average, to be honest with you. So that's a guy that doesn't move the needle a lot. Certainly he would be an upgrade over Brooks Baldwin, but I don't know. This isn't one that excites me. Ha-Seong Kim, by the way, is already one person is actually picking him to go to the White Sox on a 1-year, $12 million deal. Let's take a look. So short, second, and third. Last year only batted 233, but his WAR was 2.6. That's not bad. On base plus slugging plus, it's a 96. That is obviously below league average. He has won a Gold Glove. Let's see, 1 year removed from actually getting MVP votes. Down ballot. Boy, it's kind of impressive he got MVP votes on this season. Mid 700s on base plus slugging. I mean, I guess that really good defensive play helped a lot. See, again, he absolutely would upgrade the team, but does he move the needle enough if you're saying this is a move that's going to help the White Sox make it to the postseason? So this is not exciting. I think we do have to go with Ha-Seong Kim as our second baseman. There you see it. We got Ha-Seong Kim penciled in as our second baseman, and I am going to give him just exactly what was predicted, which is 1 year, $12 million. I know I'm covering up another year, which just pushes Brooks Baldwin back a little bit, maybe pushes him to the utility role. I guess maybe because there's so few infield options, do you just have to go with Alex Bregman? I didn't realize how shallow the options for infield upgrades were until I just went through that list, and there's not very many. It's basically Ha-Seong Kim, Gleyber Torres, and Alex Bregman among still available players, which tells me that if I can't upgrade the infield anymore, then I do have to upgrade the pitching more. Because this infield, there's upside potential there, but at the same time, there's no excitement, to be completely honest with you, unless Colson Montgomery comes out of the gates on fire. There's nobody in this infield that is scary, that is exceptionally good right now as things stand. So that means we do have to go back and we do have to pick up somebody like Max Fried to be another high-end starting pitcher. And then, of course, you're going to also have to spend some money in the bullpen. Again, there's just a lot of question marks. Like the whole team is question marks, really, because we're banking on future. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say that the White Sox, maybe I'll take it down a notch and I'll get Flaherty instead of Fried. I'm also going to give him the amount that MLB trade rumors guessed. And then we're going to add it up because we're going to come to an answer exactly what would it take for the White Sox to become a favored contender this year. We have Corbin Burns, about $250 million right there. Nate Eovaldi, $50 million. Jack Flaherty, $115. Ha-Seong Kim, just $12. That's a bargain. And then Pete Alonso at $162 million and Juan Soto at $917 million. What would it take to make the White Sox a competitor this year? Little over $1.5 billion. Of course, most of that, by far, most of that going to Juan Soto. And of course, we're not caring about qualifying offers, guys that have that attached to them. We don't care. We've got all the money in the world. $1.516 billion. And actually, it would be more because, like I said, I would want to add Liam Hendricks back and spend some more in the bullpen. So let's make it just an even $1.6 billion spent this offseason is what it would take for White Sox to become a team that is favored to win the division or at the very least sneak into a wild card. Let me know. Is this enough? There's still a question mark, but I think with all of this, if we had Garrett Crochet, he himself is a question mark because he's a big injury risk. But I think a rotation of starting four of Crochet, Corbin Burns, Nathan Eovaldi, Jack Flaherty with a huge, huge competition for the number 5 spot between Davis Martin, Jonathan Cannon, Drew Thorpe, Nick Nastrini, Kai Busch, and Jake Eder, and maybe even Noah Schultz. We should be pretty comfortable with that. The infield looks pretty weak. The outfield, I mean, you have Juan Soto. He's the best hitter in baseball. I mean, right up there with Ohtani. And if anybody can be spoken of in the same breath as Ohtani, yeah, he's exceptional. Again, Dominic Fletcher would be our 4th outfielder or battling with Andrew Benintendi. Luis, obviously, as I stammer, he had a terrible year last year, but he had a great year the year before that. Who are we going to get next year? If Luis has another bad year, maybe the offense overall still, even with all this money spent, doesn't look that good. So I don't know. Let me know what you all think. Anything that you would have done differently. And again, this isn't supposed to be real. We're just supposed to be having fun here because this next year, there's going to be reasons to watch, but it's not because we are competing for the playoffs. Thank you all for watching and going on this fun, weird experiment. And yeah, let me know what you think, what you do differently. Thanks for watching.